You're good.
I'll call this meeting of the Virginia Gas and Oil Board hearing to order. Today's June 18th. We're at Virginia Energy in their Big Stone Gap office this morning. I'd like to remind everyone that this is being recorded, so I would ask that everyone silence their phone. And we'll start by introducing well, first, let's review and approve the resolution to allow Mr. Prather to attend remotely because of the distance. It's more than 60 miles away. So I would ask for a motion. Mr. Prather to attend remotely.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion, we have a second.
I'll second.
We have a motion second. All in favor, say aye, please. Those opposed, like so. Thank you. Now I'd like the board to introduce themselves. We'll start with Mr. Harris.
I'm Bill Harris, a public member.
I'm Donnie Ratliff, representing Cole, acting as your, well, not acting, I guess, I am your chairman.
Gus Jansen, I'm a public member.
Willie Cochran, I'm Virginia Energy member.
Thank you. We will receive public comments first for those that signed up to speak. If anyone who wants to speak,
Good morning. First of all, I'd like to say, introduce myself. I'm Shelley Mullins. I'm a Commissioner of Revenue in Dixon County. I want to speak briefly and make a few comments, certainly about Key Rock Energy. Just to say, first and foremost, I'm not here in no way to hinder their process, trying to understand their process a little bit better, understand what they're doing. And then it is my job to enforce tax code and tax law and county ordinance in Dixon County. I wish them the best, and we love to see companies producing and working. That's the name of the game. I just briefly, certainly had some, I guess you could say, concerns and questions with the company and so forth. This is a new thing, and certainly trying to get a better understanding how the Virginia Gas and Oil Board perceives and looks at Key Rock Energy, and the way they present themselves, and the way I'm assuming that the Gas and Oil Board looks at them as any other gas company drilling a gas well and severing gas from the ground. Would that be agreeable? And that's the way it felt as well. And this, again, just trying to clarify some things. Know they got several wells in the county. Makes it difficult from our standpoint as a locality, and I guess to enforce some of this stuff sometimes. I know through the coal side, the gas side is a little bit different than the coal side. One recommendation that I had, maybe the gas look at the coal side and do some things as far as having to fill out affidavits and sign affidavits to say that they paid their severance tax in order to keep going. On the coal side, they have to do that once a year. It's certainly a recommendation and stuff that I would say would be helpful in enforcement side, because on the coal side, when that happens, once a year, they have signed an affidavit. Commissioner signs off on it, treasurer signs off on it. They get their license for the year and go on. So certainly, I know they're permitting more and more wells, and that's great. Again, just from our standpoint, we want to enforce the law as it is and make fair and equitable assessments as we are supposed to do. I think it's in the intent of the company that they really don't feel that a lot of the laws apply to them. And that's why that I think some changes need to be made. The process that they're doing, flaring this gas for carbon credits, I commend them for their business plan and their business model. But in our eyes, they're severing gas from the ground, and they're obligated and liable and to pay severance tax, so. That's about all I have. Any questions?
Any questions from members of the board?
Let me just ask you, is there some mechanism in place at the state level? Obviously, what you're saying is there isn't. For that to be counted as removal? In other words, I know that we've allowed the flaring, because we brought that up before about what that entails and what's involved. Credits for that. Is there some mechanism that, obviously, you're saying the state does not have a mechanism to cover?
Well, and basically I'm saying that this boils down to, it boils down to, them verifying and just reporting what they're supposed to report, just like a coal company or any other gas company does. Any other gas company reports MCFs, coal company reports tons. I think Donnie's familiar with that. We get a reporting, once a month, our county ordinance, we have a county ordinance that says they supposed to come to the commissioner's office and fill out an application, and, there's been some resistance on that, okay?
If I could stop you, would everyone who's on Zoom, please mute your phones or mute your computer. We have a lot of feedback. I understand there's a lot of echoes on the ones that's on the video conference. So if you would please mute, that would help us stop the echo. You continue. Go ahead.
But that's basically it, I just wonder from y'all standpoint, everybody verifies everything to do. It's in their importance. I'm sure they verify the MCFs that they pull out of the ground. It's part of their business model, Just like a gas company, anybody drilling a conventional gas well or a coal-bed methane well, it's in their most importance to verify how much they pull out of the ground in order to know that's how much they're going to sell, just like coal the same way. So, all I'm asking is, if y'all ever looked at anything or considered a change in any of y'all's laws and regs to be compatible with the coal side in order to assist in enforcement, and assist in localities, because, it's just hard on locality when a company, it just begins into a battle and legal battle, and everybody spends a lot of money, and at the end of the day, somebody comes out a winner, but other than that, and from what I asked earlier, that you guys look at them as any other company drilling a gas well, is that correct?
And maybe the staff can weigh in on this. I believe in the permitting process, they do have a requirement to report their production on an MCF basis
Right.
to the division.
Right.
Is that what you're asking?
Well, that, and two, so kind of like the coal side as well, they will, once a year, the coal side makes you get a license. And then like February 15th of every year, if you have to renew your license, and then there has to be an affidavit signed by the company and the commissioner of revenue and the treasurer saying that they pay their taxes, and then the state will issue them a new license. I'm just saying, if
Is that a
y'all,
business license, or you talking about their mine license?
it's like a mine license or,
I'm not familiar with that. So
Yeah.
We have an annual report that they submit every year
yeah,
on their operations.
On I'll speak with the division on that, Mr. Mullins, Brad Boyd. We get an annual report. We do not get anything from the county certifying they pay their taxes, but as part of the annual production report at the end of the year, the company is required to basically attest that they have paid their severance tax to the county. But we don't get anything from the county, doing that. But we don't have any type of a renewal, anything. Once the permit is in place, as long as the companies do, keep that up, there's not a renewal each year
Right.
for that.
right. Which if you're familiar with the coal side, you know how it works, kind of what I'm explaining. It's kind of the same way, but if they don't sign off on it, then they kind of assist in enforcement, I guess to say, so,
Right, and we do not get in the enforcement of the taxes,
yeah.
paying the taxes on that side. But as far as production reporting, no matter what operations you're doing, whether it's for carbon credit or putting the gas in pipeline, everything, they are required, all the operators are required to report their monthly production and to meter each individual location and report that production monthly to us, to the state. So that is required for all the gas operators.
Is that in the regulation or is that in statute?
The regulation for the production.
On the coal side, on the affidavit, is that in the statute or is that regulation?
Regulation.
Okay.
I guess, if you don't mind, if I
Go ahead,
can speak that.
please.
Being familiar with the regulatory side for the coal mining and the mineral mining, and we do have annual reviews for the permits for the license. Same as coal, gas and oil is different, and some mine land repurposing here. The renewals, they have a renewal, but it's a different renewal cycle. It's not annual. It's a five-year cycle. So that's in, that's in the way the laws are set up. That's the way it's done. And of course, we do have reporting requirements for production, right, all the way around, whether it's for minerals or coal, gas, we do have reporting requirements. Some of them's annual, saying for gas and oil, some monthly, and then an annual reconciliation. Correct, Brett?
Yes.
So, Mr. Scruper, what about the flared gas for carbon credits? Are they required to pay severance tax on that?
Hard to report production on it, so if production is what you base severance tax on, that's what you be paid severance tax on, I would assume. It's just thinking that because that's what we regulate is that production.
Right.
And you're required to tell us how much you produce. What you do for it is the end product, that's a different story, but I want to meter it to make sure that persons that are entitled to royalties, other things, their rights that they're being paid.
Yeah.
Because that production has to be kept.
Can you expand on what resistance you're receiving?
Well, it's just the taxpayer just doesn't feel that the laws apply to them, that they're flaring gas, and this is, they look at it as not producing gas. They're burning it.
So they're saying they don't owe a severance tax on that produced gas.
Yes,
And obviously you don't agree with that.
Yeah.
That person.
and it's important, yeah.
So this board has done two things on these carbon credit type applications. One, we've allowed them to pay their royalty owners based on their production. And we've also allowed them to pay their royalty owners based on their revenue generated from the carbon credit as opposed to the production. So in my opinion, and again, I'm not a lawyer and we haven't sitting here, but you may not want to speak to this.
Do not.
The revenue generated on those carbon credits, to me, is where you would base your tax assessment on.
And correct. And we're working on that. Like I said, we're just getting some resistance, and it's all I guess, interpretation thing. Everybody can take a sentence of any kind and interpret it in a different way. But just to circle back again, so y'all look at them as a regular gas company, gas well, any other gas well, whether it be a conventional or coal bed methane, that any other company's going to drill in Wiser, Dixon, or surrounding counties, they're going to pay royalties to the gas just like any other, correct? So,
Right.
yeah.
Well, the only difference is that is a difference that we have allowed, this board has allowed, is to pay on the carbon credits revenue itself as opposed to the actual production.
Right.
We've allowed that to be done both ways. We have not been consistent there.
Yeah.
And maybe we should be. And
Well, and
Hello? Hey, Lori? Hello?
Hello?
It's like they froze up on their end some reason.
Yeah, I actually have had to re-sign back in. Mine froze.
The froze on us here too. I'm gonna leave and try to come back.
Okay.
I've received a notification they're trying to reestablish the connection.
Okay.
If
we
you're
just
trying
stay
to
on?
reach, if you're trying to reach connection with Bruce Fraser, you've made it.
Okay.
Hello?
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 Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, this is Bruce Fraser.
This is Cheryl Tucker.
I lost connection probably 5 minutes ago.
I did too. I just called back in and this is where I ended up. Is there anybody else on the call besides us?
Yes, this is Aaron Davis.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
But it connects.
Everyone still online? I'm gonna start recording.
We can see you again now.
Okay.
Thank you.
You may proceed. Anything else?
I don't think so, unless you guys had anything. I can't really remember exactly where we was at, who finished there, but, I appreciate your time, appreciate being able to come and speak. Appreciate everyone for all their assistance and help.
Thank you. Anyone else signed up to speak?
Read away.
This way, do you
If
have
we
the
did
floor?
not,
Yeah, I was just wondering, what is? I got this packet, are they gonna be real ones?
You want to come forward? What do you guys want to look at the packet?
I'm just wondering. Are they gonna be drilling close on my
I don't
property?
know. Let him look at your packet and see what.
I got it marked.
Okay. Well, okay, this is the BS 18. It's the BS 18 that's coming today. Okay, Oconus Gas. And that's a petition to, this is a petition for a unit established. Okay. Establishment of unit. Yes. That's great. That's item number 8 on our agenda and it'll be presented. So if you want to stay and listen and if you have any questions, we'll handle them at that time. Thank you. Okay. Anyone else wish to speak?
I just had a question. I did not request to speak prior to the meeting. Do I have to wait till the like number 8 comes along?
Wait a second, we couldn't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Let us try to
Can you
turn
hear
our
me?
end up. Wait just a second.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
You want to introduce yourself again?
Yes, my name is Cheryl Keene Tucker, and we have interest in some of the units. I'm mainly concerned about how the calculations, I think this is part of what they're going to be doing. is made. We've had problems. They've actually been on the land since 2001 and still have not been able to get the percentages, and it's still wrong in the packet for the land that we own. So I just have concerns about this all going into one huge unit, into V18, if we can't get the correct information for the individual units currently. And
Do you know the unit, do you know the unit number?
Yes, I am having problems and have for years now. It's a CC 35, 34, and 36. And I have some that are outside of this particular proposal.
Okay. Okay, 34 is on the docket, so it'll be heard later. So if you want to just maintain your, okay? Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Anyone else wish to speak? Hearing none, we will ask the First Bank and Trust Company, our escrow agent for the Gas and Oil Board, to address the board on the quarterly report, which was emailed to everyone yesterday or day before yesterday. Is she online?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes. We thought we'd lost you.
Okay, great. I did lose you there for a minute.
Okay.
Okay, so this is our first quarter report for 2024. We'll start out on page 3, beginning of the year, January the 1st, 2024. We started out with a balance of $5,170,202.08. For the quarter, we received deposits of $29,512.89. Interest earned for the quarter was $24,682.31. We deducted fees of $5,185.33. We paid out distributions for the quarter, $234,228.83, leaving us an ending balance at the end of March, the end of the first quarter, of $4,984,983.12.
Okay.
So far in 2024, and this is for the first 3 months, so it's a little dated now. We've processed no treasury dockets. We've processed 9 regular dockets for a total of $234,228.83. We've issued over 70 checks ranging from $1.37 to $72,148.53. 39 of those 70 checks were issued for less than $100. Starting at page 5, this is all of the outstanding checks as of March 31st, 2024. And there's several pages of those. However, a lot of those have been cleared up. Thank you, Kelly, if you're on the phone. We've been able to clear up a lot of those. And our outstanding balance now for checks is $15,727.96. The next several pages are our escheatment for 2024. We do have several of these, and they total on page 26, $5,979.56. And there's a lot of checks, but if you'll look, a lot of those are low dollar checks. There's several on there for a penny, several on there for less than $1. So I have a feeling these people are never going to cash these small checks. Starting out on page 27, this is the balance sheet. This is only for the month of March. It lists each individual account, the beginning balance for each account, deposits we received in the month of March, interest, fees, any distributions, any transfers to our No W-9 spreadsheet, and the ending balance for each individual account. And a new column on there that was not on there the last time is the status of the wells. Starting on page 37 is our No W-9 list. This list is long. We have 433 lines on this spreadsheet and a little over $41,000 in this account. And these people that have been on dockets that have not submitted their W-9s to be paid out. Any questions on?
No, you may proceed. It's a long list.
Page 49 is our annual distributions. This has been since First Bank and Trust became the escrow agent in 2010. So this lists the income that we've received and any distributions that we've paid out each year. Page 50 is the investment of funds as of March 31st. And if you'll look at this, you have several CDs that are coming due next month. As long as you have the meeting regularly scheduled time next month, these will mature right after that meeting. So we can decide now if you want to reinvest them, or we can wait until the next meeting to decide. These will automatically mature and they will go into the cash, into the money market fund. So all of these is $2 million.
Hey, we have one item next month so far, so probably me.
Okay. So you may not have a meeting next month.
I feel comfortable to go ahead and renew them now. I don't have the rest of the board.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
Just in case something happens.
We need a motion to do that.
The rates are running similar. If you look at the rate comparison and the CD rate ranges, I want to say that those CDs that you have now were 1-year CDs. And so the range for the 1-year CD is 5.2 to 5.4.
I think we want to do
So
that
we can
again. On those that's
reinvest another
expiring. Yes,
Okay.
let's make this legal. Any
Everyone
questions from
comfortable
members of
with-
the board? Any questions from members of the board?
So the motion would be to extend the expiring annual CDs for another year.
For another year at these rates.
Okay.
Any questions? Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion, we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. You want to poll the board, Ms. Gilmer?
Mr. Prather on the line? Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff,
Yes.
Mr. Jansen,
Yes.
and Mr. Cochran.
Yes.
The motion is approved, so we'll do that.
Okay. I appreciate that. So as soon as those mature in July, we'll start purchasing new CDs for another 12-month period.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
No, you've done an awesome job. We appreciate your efforts.
I appreciate you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is a petition from Key Rock Energy LLC for the general creation of sealed gob unit and pooling. Unit slope drain pipe vent, docket numbers VGOB 24-0416-4281. All parties interested, please come forward and introduce yourself.
Freddie Mullins for Key Rock Energy. I also have Aaron Douglas on the telephone.
We will need to swear Aaron in.
It's Douglas, isn't it, Aaron? Are you on there? He was on there just a second ago. I'm texting him now.
Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Freddie?
Yes. They need you to spell your last
yeah.
name, please.
It is Davis, Davis.
Mr. Davis, do you swear and affirm that your testimony is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You may proceed, Mr. Mullins.
Thank you. Could you please state your name and how you're employed?
My name is Aaron Davis. I'm employed with Key Rock Energy as an engineer.
And to the best of your knowledge, is Key Rock Energy authorized to conduct business in the Commonwealth of Virginia?
Yes,
And is there a bond on file with the Department of Energy to conduct business?
correct.
And you're familiar with the application for what we call the slope drain vent pipe?
Yes,
And this is in the most generic of senses, this is for a coal bed methane well?
correct.
And is this unit located in the Nora coal bed gas field?
Yes,
And do you know how many acres this proposed unit contains?
it's 300.66 acres.
All right, now, Mr. Davis, can you give the board some history concerning this particular site?
Yes. In May of 2020, Key Rock approached Butch Lambert. He was the former deputy director of the Virginia Department of Mines, Minerals, and Energy regarding the recovery of abandoned mine gas from Deep Mine 26. It was by letter dated May 20th of 2020. Mr. Lambert informed Key Rock that no additional permitting petitions would need to be filed concerning the slope drain vent pipe at that time. Key Rock proceeded with the installation of one opening at Deep Mine 26 and has been recovering abandoned mine gas at the existing slope drain vent pipe from a sealed underground gob area via the mine slope. It's a short distance to an instrument trailer where the flow rate and methane percentage are measured and then flared.
And what seam of coal is any of this coal bed methane produced from?
It is the lower Banner coal seam.
And with this slope drain vent pipe, it's of the same type of well as the other Key Rock wells. It generates you generate and market carbon tax credits.
That is correct.
And could you tell the board a little bit about the carbon tax credits and how that works?
Yes, so methane is extracted from the ground and it is incinerated, and that is incineration is the byproducts of the incineration is better for the environment. The methane is believed to be 25 times worse for its global warming potential. The methane is destroyed and then is weighted into carbon credit offsets.
And where are those carbon credits? Where's the market for those carbon credits?
The credits are issued by the California Air Board, and then they're sold domestically and internationally.
Okay. And you plan to continue generating and marketing these carbon credits for this particular well?
Yes.
Now, like I said at the beginning, this is a little bit different than some of the other units that's come before this board. There's actually been credits being generated from this particular site. Is that correct?
Yes. Carbon credits have been generated and sold for the years of 2021 and 2022, and they've been quantified for 2023. We're in the process of receiving those credits and hopefully proceeding with the sale of the 2023 credits.
And as far as the unleased owners are concerned, how much money is being held for distribution if this board sees fit to take action today?
That is $51,584.43.
And so that covers everyone but Intervest, is that correct?
Yes.
And at this point, is Intervest the only entity or person that you've been able to obtain any leases for this particular unit?
That's correct. We've obtained leases for all gas that Intervest possesses in the unit.
All right. And how was Intervest informed of this proceeding?
It was, I believe it was through mailing, I believe.
That through certified mail, return receipt requested?
Yes,
And that notice has been filed with the board?
yes.
And approximately what is the percentage of the unit right now that Key Rock has under lease?
That is 57% approximately.
All right, and so the balance of the unit Key Rock does not have under lease, is that correct?
Yes, and that would be 42.43%.
And of that 42.43%, how many of those owners are unknown?
4.31%.
And how are these unknown owners informed of what we're doing here today?
They were provided notice by order of publication in the Dickinson Star.
And you're seeking to pool pool 100% of the unit today, is that correct?
Yes,
And you're requesting that the board pool the interest of all the parties listed on Exhibit B of the application?
correct.
And as far as the other owners who are unleased, are you asking the board to give those owners three different options for participation in this well?
Yes,
And the lease terms that you would be offering these owners, if any were to come forward, would it be the same royalty terms as been offered to Intervest?
yes, it would.
And is that 12.5%?
Yes.
All right. Now, what is the depth of this particular site?
It's my understanding the slope drain vent pipe is approximately 50 feet.
Okay. And what are the estimated reserves for this unit?
Estimated reserves are 815.3 million cubic feet.
And you're familiar with what it has already cost Key Rock to install this slope drain vent pipe?
Yes.
And because it's not a conventional drilling, can you give the pricing for what this unit has, or for what this site has cost?
The approximate price is $57,465. That covers the cost of contractors who plumbed the well, laid the pipe, built the fence, also removed Paramount's holding ponds and those kinds of things. Some electrical work and equipment delivery also.
And are you asking the board to create a sealed gob drilling unit and further to pool that unit?
Yes.
And a portion of that pooling would be voluntary?
Correct.
And a portion would be involuntary?
Yes.
With regard to the units, you are requesting escrow because they're unknown owners?
Yes, sir.
And are you asking the board to name Key Rock as the operator for this unit?
Yes.
And in your opinion, if the board grants the application it has before it today, would it prevent waste, promote conservation, and protect correlative rights?
Yes, it would.
All right. That would be our evidence, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions for any board members?
Mr. Chairman, there was a question about an AFE, but I understand it is.
Page was that? Yes.
Page 67.
Oh, okay.
While he's looking for it, I do have a question about the AFE. It's one of my questions. There's one of the amounts on there is for the flow line labor / material. So that includes, that's the cost of the line from the vent pipe to your facility to Cabesta Gas. Is that correct? That's the lion's share of your AFE, the $33,000 for that charge.
Mr. Davis, could you hear the question?
Yeah, I could, as far as I know, that is correct. That's something, that was a little before my time with the company. I would have to verify that.
Just as an aside here, if you're here to testify in front of this board, you should be knowledgeable of everything involved with this application or have other people involved in that to do this. So we can ask the questions we need to ask.
Yes, sir. The AFE, to my knowledge, yes, that is exactly right. The price that you quoted, that was for the installation of the piping on site.
Do you know approximately how long that pipe was? It seems pretty expensive for that short of a distance, I would think, to cover that. That was my only question.
Mr. Jansen, if you can give me a minute, I actually have that information, but if you can give me a minute just to pull it up. If my technology will work.
Not sure if you can find that, Mr. Mullins, but just looking at the plat on page 11 of your application.
Yes, sir.
It does show an existing gas line from the slope drain vent pipe to what I'm assuming is your existing fence facilities. Looks like it maybe is a couple hundred feet. Does that sound reasonable?
I have been to the site. Yes, sir, it does. I'm looking here. There's a distance somewhere on here. I'd be glad to show you what I'm looking at. I'd say several hundred feet is a good estimation. And if the board wishes for me to find out exactly what that is, I can do that. I just don't have that information at my fingertips.
Yeah, I think my only concern was that the $33,000 charge associated with that 200-foot pipeline seems excessive. I don't know if Mr. Davis can elaborate on that.
I cannot elaborate on that.
If there's particulars that the board would wish for us to bring forward concerning that, we'll be glad to do so.
Next month. Like. I think we'll submit something. I'm gonna wait tonight, so I can't ask questions. Go ahead and ask. What would you prefer to do? Would you prefer to provide that to the staff for them to review, or would you prefer to bring this application back next month?
I'll be glad to provide it to staff.
Okay.
But I do believe that I've had a chance to look at it here. I believe that it's not going to be much more distance than that. So I'm assuming what you would be looking for would be invoices or
just some detail of,
Okay.
I don't know if that's the right number associated with 200 foot of flow line pipe.
Yes.
That's the question.
Okay. What you're looking for is a more detailed breakdown of the entire amount.
Right.
Okay.
For that cost.
We'll be glad to provide that to staff.
Any other questions?
Yeah,
Think-
couple more.
Go ahead.
I'll just keep asking.
That's all right.
Also on page 11, your exhibit A, which is your plat of the slope drain pipe. The staff can weigh in on this also if they want to. I think that part of the requirement is to show the closest well to this well, or at least some reference to the closest well in the area. I don't see a reference to any other wells in the area on this plat.
And that has actually been provided, M26, Key Rock M26-1, which is the document I was looking at, has been provided.
Okay, we didn't get that. Did we get that, Brad? Did we get that revised document?
And I'll be glad to,
I'm not saying, so check it right now, see if we've got that updated. We have requested it. Verify now if that's been submitted to us for the M-26-1.
I think it was submitted June the 11th.
Okay.
I just forwarded it again to Sarah. And this is the exhibit that I was referring to when I was looking for the distance.
So what is the distance to that adjacent, to that nearest well?
Well, I'm working on my location exception for next. I don't have it.
So that was my question is.
Yes, sir.
You'll have a location exception.
It's going to be
This
close.
application, but you're going to have to submit another
Yes,
application
sir.
to address the location exception. And then the final question I think I have is, you provided a mind map, I think, somewhere in this application. I'm not sure what page it's on. On page 68, there's a depiction of the underground mine works associated with this unit boundary. And I can ask the staff this question, if they've been able to verify that this unit conforms to the seals that have been placed in this mine area. So this unit conforms to an appropriate area that's been sealed
Yes.
in some other areas.
I've looked at the map map.
Because this map does not show the seals or anything on that type of thing. So there's no way for us to verify that. And then I think in the past, the board has asked that you show all of your units within a mine boundary. So like the M26 unit's already been done. So we can see the relationship of this unit to that unit.
And would you like for me to submit that along with our?
I would like to see that as a correction to this application also.
All right.
Show you the units. And then the last part of that question would be, I know this is a large mine area. Do you anticipate that you're going to continue to pursue additional applications within this mine boundary?
I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
Any further questions?
So just to clarify, we want more detailed breakdown on the AFE, and we'll do that for all components of it, not just the length of pipe.
Yeah.
More detailed to satisfy staff. And then on Exhibit L, you want to have M26-1 shown as well.
Right.
Okay.
You may just want to show the entire mine boundary and show what units have been done and then carry those forward each time.
Okay.
This will be new units within that mine boundary.
Okay, we had some issues showing the total mine boundary before. And so this was revised at the request of staff. We'll be glad to try to do whatever you want, but there may need to be an additional portion of this exhibit.
Sure.
One showing exactly what we're doing with that particular well, and then one showing overall.
Overall.
Yes, sir.
I've seen the mine map, but it doesn't show the M26 boundary on that map either.
Yes, sir.
So, one last question. I know we've had some history with this vent shaft. We've generated carbon credits on this for a couple of year period. Can Mr. Davis give us any kind of feel for what an MCF to a credit these units are generating, or this production is generating?
You mean as far as you would like a breakdown for each year? So many credits.
I'm just looking at generalities. Is it one NCF is valued at $5? Is it valued at $100? Something like that. You've got production. You know you've generated income. So can we sort of see that relationship so we understand how this compares to general natural gas production?
We can give you a breakdown on what it would be for each year. If you're looking for like a generality, my answer would be more than you can get on the gas.
You're not testifying. Mr. Davis is testifying. Mr. Davis answered the question.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so at Deep Mine 26, early in 2021, there was no, pursuant to the controlling California law, there was no evidence of some ventilation type things, which we've actually proven later, just when the mine operated. So originally it was the number of carbon credits that you receive divided by the MCF of methane. Originally that was 0.34. However, with additional evidence that's been shown from mine ventilation through the controlling law, it's now increased 20%. So right now you take the you can take the number of credits you receive and divide that by the MCF of methane, and it's 0.425, and give or take a little bit of it does vary. It's not exactly 425, but it's very close.
Any other questions? You have anything further, Mr. Mullins?
No, sir.
Board acts on the motion. Have a motion?
Asking for questions, are you talking about the gallery or just the room yourselves?
On this well, you have interest in this well? Come forward. State your name again, please.
My name is Judy Bright. You also have me down as Judy AEA. Different properties.
We're just addressing this one petition, this one well number right now. You may proceed, Ms. Wright.
I think it would be good if you would just explain to us in the gallery here in plain English where these things are located. People who are not familiar with this don't know how to interpret this map or any of these things for matter. And all these things that are in this whole packet of plans and the letter that I received with the lease agreement in it mostly makes no sense to an ordinary person. I did consult a lawyer to explain to me some of the things that's in the lease and in this packet here. And what I'm interested in is where they're going to be withdrawing, like in local words, McClure, Clintwood, wherever these pipes are located, and where they're going to be getting this methane or whatever from, and how our particular properties are included in this. What are they taking from our properties? One place I think it states that they won't be on your property. But in another place, it gives you the idea that they can come on your property anytime they feel like it. I'm personally not signing the lease. There's also a stipulation that if they do any damage to your property, they are not responsible for it. sink a well, they float things sky high, and they're not responsible for any damages. I did get that much out of it, but the rest of the stuff doesn't make much sense to an ordinary person.
We can't comment on the lease. That's a private matter, but staff can help you locate your well on that map and show you where
Well, I
where they
know where
are.
my property is. It's on Highway 72, Coburn Road, out of Flintwood.
And that's not shown on the map.
It is shown on the map.
Okay.
Mr. Allen, if I might be able to help just a little bit, the location of the slope drain vent pipe is where the old Moss One was located, up Lick Fork.
I know where that is.
Yeah, that's where it's at.
All right, so how does that affect the surrounding properties?
They're pulling gas from under the surrounding properties from these sealed, units of this mine.
What do you mean about sealed units?
Well, it's been sealed off for, the mining company has sealed it off, usually for safety reasons. The gas is built up in those areas, and these pipes are releasing that gas, and they're flaring it or burning it, upon release, which is considered more environmentally friendly.
If it's methane, I don't see why they're not marketing it. And
I can't answer that.
anyway, that's their problem. My problem is, I want to know if that is located at Lick Fork.
Yes,
I'm a
ma'am.
good way away from Lick Fork. So are you telling me that beforehand, they have been mining under all that property, that they are now wanting a lease to take that gas off of?
That property's been mined under for decades.
So you're telling me that all of our properties have been mined under?
Whatever's on that map, decades ago. Not by Key Rock, not by my client.
My understanding was they bought that out from another company.
I don't think we're talking about the same thing. Key Rock has not bought anything. All they've done is enter into leases with the gas owners, or is seeking for them to be pulled in front of this board. It has nothing to do with coal mining.
I understand that. I'm talking about the gas, but if the gas wouldn't be there if they hadn't mined underneath it.
I'm not a geologist. I'm not prepared to answer that. It's there.
It's theirs, evidently. All right. Trying to get an understanding here of what, where, and why. If they're going to be free, if we sign leases for them to come on our property anytime they feel like it, if they want to drill another well.
You need to speak to a representative of Key Rock about the leases. I'm not involved with that aspect of the operation. I'm just here representing Key Rock before this board.
Well, I appreciate you giving me some understanding here of what's going on. And use the abbreviations of all these things when you talk about it. We don't know what you're talking about. Period.
Ms. Mullins, can you provide her with a name and number so?
Yes, sir.
He can.
Does your lease, did their lease indicate the name to contact at Key Rock and phone number to call?
I'm assuming. Be some mail. So. Took it to my attorney. I won't repeat the advice. Yeah.
Let Mr. Mullins give you a name and a good phone number so someone can sit down and explain and answer all your questions.
So what is this board here for?
To protect the correlative rights of the landowners.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
To protect the correlative rights of the landowners and the gas companies.
Okay, so I'm a landowner, got 3 separate properties.
We're here to make sure that if someone extracts the gas that you control, portions of the gas that you control, that you're fairly treated, whether you sign a lease, that doesn't have anything to do with us. We don't get involved in leases. We're here to make sure your rights are protected as a gas owner and as a landowner.
How are you going to do that?
If the gas company has met the letter of the law and has submitted evidence and information to satisfy everything that's in the permit, then we assume that we have protected prerogative rights of the individuals, and we will approve the permit
Okay,
application.
where will we get sample permit?
Permits filed with the Division of Gas and Oil. We don't see the permit.
Except you don't see the permit? Or,
We're here to make sure that if there's money involved, that your rights are protected. That's all we're here for. If when they file for a permit to extract the gas, the division checks off and makes sure they have properly identified all the problems and all the questions to be answered. And once they check all of those boxes off, we don't have a choice but to release the permit, because that tells us that they have followed the law as far as the laws extend.
okay, so you're gonna give me contact so I can find out about the permit.
There you go.
Okay? And we appreciate you being here. We're just explaining the best we can.
Well, like I said, to those of us who are not familiar,
I understand.
abbreviations and so forth, we just need plain English.
Okay,
Okay,
all right. Appreciate you.
thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Board acts on the motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll go ahead and make the motion that we approve the petition, subject to the submission of the corrected, additional items were discussed.
We have a motion, we have a second. The petition dies for lack of a second. So we'll resubmit. What do we do?
Corrected application.
Is that resubmit with the corrections?
Resubmit with corrections.
Okay. Motion.
And just to make sure, the only corrections we're looking for are the detailed AFE and the map showing M26-1. Are there any other matters that we need to address? This has been a kind of a mixed up situation. Started out, there didn't need to be any action by the board, then there did need to be. So we want to make sure we bring the board whatever information it's after.
That the map has been submitted, we do have it. And
Okay. We'll ask you to resubmit. Anything further on the petition?
this to July.
Yes.
Will that show, as far as us being able to submit more information on your website, will that show as the petition being rejected and then, or we have to file another petition?
Use this petition, we'll just continue it and
Send it to you?
send me the revision.
Okay,
So there won't be anything further.
all right.
Thank you, Mr. Mullins.
Thank you.
Next, we have a petition from Pocahontas Gas for disbursement of escrow funds to deposited into the board's escrow account attributed to a portion of tracks 3 and 5 on the annex table, and authorization to begin paying royalties to Kimberly Nicole Leiter and Benjamin Tyler Vance. Station to paying royalties directly to these parties on a royalty split agreement between Rockport Oil and Gas and Chisos LLC, previously Hugh Ray Land Trust Company. Docket numbers VGOB 91-07-16-0136-10. All parties of interest, please come forward. Mr. Swartz.
Mark Swartz and Kelly Berry.
Good. We need to swear Kelly in.
Ms. Berry, you swear and affirm that your testimony is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
Ms.
Kelly,
Schwartz,
would
you
you
may proceed.
Thank you, sir. Kelly, would you state your name for us, please?
Kelly Berry,
And who do you work for?
Pocahontas Gas LLC.
And what do you do for them?
I am a division order analyst and a land records analyst.
Okay. And are you here on behalf of the operator of bus one?
Yes,
And who's the operator?
Pocahontas Gas LLC.
And bus one is what kind of a unit?
It is a steel gob unit.
And your request in this application, actually you have 3 requests. What are what's the relief that you're seeking today on this application pertaining to bus one?
We seek to release escrowed funds attributable to a portion of Tract 3 based on House Bill 2058. And as far as that tract is concerned, to incorporate the previous dismissal of coal owner. And on Tract 5, we are seeking to disperse a portion of funds held that have been discovered to be owned by deed by Pocahontas Gas LLC, and that fund will be paid pursuant to a previous royalty split agreement.
Okay, and if we go to the second page of your application, you've stated that you're making a payment under the code to some gas claimants, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and then we've also got royalty split agreements, which are discussed at the second page of your application, and you've just mentioned, right?
Yes.
Okay, we have a map of the bus one unit at page, let's see here, that would be page 4 of the application.
Yes.
And then if we come down to page 8 of the application, we've got the table 1 that we typically see when we have a disbursement. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Is this a percentage disbursement or a dollar disbursement?
Percentage disbursement.
Okay, and that a percentage disbursement works as with regard to the board's escrow agent, they take the balance on hand on the day that the escrow payment disbursement payment is going to be made, and they apply a percentage to that balance to get the dollar amount, right?
That's correct.
And where do they find the percentage amount that they're supposed to use?
That is on the column labeled percent of escrowed funds dispersed.
And for example, if we were talking about Kimberly and Nicole Leitner, that percentage that the escrow agents should use would be what?
8.0434%.
And on table 1, have you identified all of the people that were asking or seeking disbursements be made to?
Yes.
And you've identified the tracks that they have an interest in?
Yes.
And it appears that you've given the name and address of everybody.
Yes.
There are no attorneys that need to be involved in the disbursement.
No.
And then the last thing on table 1, as required, you've indicated or listed all of the wells that contribute to the production into the bus one.
Yes.
Okay. The next page, page 9 of your application is in Exhibit E. What is that address?
That addresses owners that will remain in escrow.
Okay. And at the end of that, that's Exhibit E, which would be page, looks like page 11. You indicate what the number of acres and the percentage of the unit that's going to remain in escrow if this application is approved, and what are those numbers?
1.0077 acres, which is 0.1084% of the unit.
Okay, we're getting close.
Yes.
Okay. The next page 12 is an Exhibit EE, and what's the purpose of Exhibit EE?
Exhibit EE identifies all owners who are to be placed on direct pay pursuant to either the House bill or previous royalty split agreements.
And if you'll go to page 21 of the PDF that the board has, that's an Exhibit J, right?
Yes.
And tell us what you've done to prepare that and the purpose of this.
The Exhibit J represents our reconciliation of payments, royalty payments that we have made to the escrow account as compared to the records of the escrow bank.
Okay. And if you go to page 23, you've got right sort of in the middle of that page, a couple of entries that you've highlighted.
Yes.
What's the issue there?
Yellow highlight indicates that we have deposit information that does not appear to be reflected on the bank's information.
To be specific, it looks like there are two checks for $22,000 and change that the operator wrote to the banks, one of the banks, and that did not show up as deposits.
Correct.
Other than that issue, those two checks, were you able to account for all of the other checks that the operator wrote to the escrow agent banks over time and match them to deposits?
Yes.
Okay. And at the very end of this Exhibit J, which is page 26, you've done some calculations, right?
Yes.
Okay. And there obviously, well, there's a list of prior disbursements.
That's correct.
There have been, looks like 9 before this request.
Yes.
Okay. And what have you calculated and what have you compared your calculation to?
The bank balance is $101.13 less than the balance that we show based on our deposits and the disbursement history.
Okay. And what the bank statement that or bank balance you used was what month and year?
March 2024.
So it's a little dated, but that was what you reconciled as of that date.
Yes, that was what was available at the time the disbursement was filed.
Okay. And then we've got some further exhibits which indicate mailing to coal owners and requesting documents from them, right?
Yes.
And proof of mailing, which is at and receipt, which is at page 28.
Yes.
Then got the settlement agreement, which constitutes a split agreement that you referred to earlier.
Yes.
And that starts at page 34. What did you do to tell people who might be interested in this disbursement request that we were going to have a hearing today?
A copy of the petition was mailed to them by certified mail with return receipt requested.
Okay. And do you know when that was mailed? It'll tell me that.
Yes. Give me just 1 second.
Okay.
That was mailed on May 29th, 2024.
Mr. Chairman, I think that's all I have on this disbursement request.
Any questions from members of the board? Do you have anything further, Mr. Schwartz?
I do not.
Board acts on a motion.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Ms. Gilmer, will you hold the board?
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff,
Yes.
Mr. Davidson,
Yes.
and Mr. Coffey.
Yes.
Mr. Schwartz, you have approval on that petition.
Thank you, sir.
And now we're down to item 6, is that right? Petition for Pocahontas Gas for repooling under the Oakwood Coalbed Methane Gas Fields 1 and 2 to address acreage changes on Unit X34. Docket numbers VGOB 97-0318-0572-02. All parties interested, please come forward. Mr. Schwartz.
Mark Swartz and Kelly Berry.
Ms. Barry, you're already sworn in, so you may continue.
State your name for us again, Kelly.
Kelly Berry.
If I could, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to incorporate her testimony with regard to her employment and who she appears for today.
We can do that.
Thank you. This is a repooling, I think, yes?
Yes.
And what's the reason for that?
Updated mapping, which has changed the acres of each tract within the unit.
Okay, so the percentages of everybody that we previously pooled are somewhat different than they were when we pooled this back in 1997.
Yes.
And that's a mapping issue?
Yes, properties were updated.
Okay, the boundaries.
Yes.
Okay. And can you tell us whether or not escrow is required for this unit?
Escrow is not required.
Okay. What did you do to notify folks that are involved in Unit X34 that there would be a hearing regarding repooling today?
We mailed a copy of the petition to each owner by certified mail with return receipt requested. We also published notice in the Bluefield Daily Telegraph.
Do you have the dates of mailing and publication somewhat
The
handy?
petitions were mailed April 24th, 2024, and publication took place April 26th, 2024.
And have you filed with the division proof of publication and the mailing?
Yes.
Going through the application, we'll strike that. This unit is being repooled as a coal bed methane gas field 2, correct?
Yes.
And that's the reason for repooling in addition to, or a reason for repooling in addition to the boundary changes?
Yes.
Okay. At page 2 of your application, you've given us an estimate of allowable costs in case folks like to participate. Is that correct?
Yes.
And later on in the application, which we'll get to eventually, you've got a calculation with regard to that, as to how you came up with that.
Yes.
Okay. We go to page number 4. You have a plat, Exhibit A of the X34 unit, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And at Exhibit B, you've got a list of all owners.
Yes.
Exhibit B3, let me find that. B3 is at page 11, and B3 is a list of the folks that you're repooling.
Yes.
And
The
how many
unleased
acres are and the acres are involved, and as a percentage of the unit, what does that represent?
4.63 acres, which is 5.7875% of the unit.
Based on the prior plat, this is an 80-acre unit, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And do you want to add any people as respondents to be pooled today?
No.
Do you want to dismiss any previously pooled respondents?
No.
Okay. And at page 12, what have we got?
This is our estimated cost for drilling of each of the gob wells that are proposed in the 3 South panel.
And then the next page, which is page 13 of the PDF, what have you done there?
Utilizing those estimated costs for each gob well to be drilled. We calculate based on how many wells are proposed to be drilled in the panel, And then we allocate a percentage for each unit that is located within the panel to arrive at the final allocated cost for each unit attributable to the 3 South Panel gob well drilling.
So to go to the final line or the point of the calculations at page 13 is you're saying that for 3 South in unit X34, 13.9523% of the acreage is actually in unit X34, right?
Yes,
And you apply that percentage to the total estimated cost for all of the wells in the collection of units. It looks like there's 6 units.
Yes.
And you get a result, which is 2,130,898.78, correct?
that's correct.
And that's the number we saw in the application that we talked about a minute ago.
Yes.
Okay. Then at page 14, as we're accustomed to doing, what have we got here?
We have a representation of the unit with the mine workings displayed.
Okay, so you've got the sort of hash mark lines of the unit, and then you've got portions of 2 South and 3 South longwall panels. I guess 3 South actually in that unit.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And that's the one that you addressed in your percentages of division of interest.
Yes.
Going back, let's go back for a minute to exhibit B3, I think. Exhibit B3, going back to page 12. The last column, or the column to the right, furthest to the right, on B3, what does that represent for each of the folks or owners that you've indicated?
That represents the individual owners' allocated interest within the 3 South panel.
Okay. That's looks like 2 of those owners are the Department of Highways.
Yes.
Okay. Going back to where we were. Okay, and then the last thing, I think, make sure, the last thing that you've submitted is a proposed order that the division now requires, correct?
That's correct.
Mr. Chairman, I think that's all I have with regard to docket item 6.
Any questions from members of the board?
Just one question for clarity. Looks like this unit was originally pulled in 97, is that correct?
That's correct.
And how many tracks were remapped? Were there multiple tracks, or can you identify which tracks were remapped?
It based on the comparison of the original plat and tract ID to the current mapping, it appears that the mapping changes affected the acreage of every tract within the unit.
So you had a different surveyor in 97 than you're using today. Obviously, that's one difference, right? You're using
Technology as well.
Right. Okay. And then will there be any significant reconciliation to payment that's occurred since 1997 to now? Any of these mineral owners?
No.
That's some whole compared to what they should have gotten versus what they did get?
No.
Okay. So it's just minor changes to the mapping.
Differences are minute, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Mark. What happens a lot of times, and I'm sure you're familiar with this, when you go from line drawings to digitized mapping, you're going to have minor changes, and as you update stuff, it's technology more than anything else, and that probably accounts for some of this, Kelly.
Yes.
Any other questions? Anything else, Mr. Flores?
No, thank you.
Board act on a motion.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Skilmore, you poll the board, please.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff.
Yes.
Mr. Jansen,
Yes.
Mr. Cochran.
Yes.
That one is approved also, Mr. Schwartz.
Thank you.
The next item is a petition from Pocahontas Gas LLC for pooling under the Oakwood Cobed methane gas field rules. Unit AA15, docket numbers VGOB 24-0521-4282. All parties interested, please come forward.
Mark Schwartz and Kelly Berry.
You may proceed, Mr. Schwartz.
Thank you, sir. Kelly, you can state your name for us again.
Kelly Berry.
I'd like to incorporate Kelly's testimony regarding her employment and her appearance on behalf of Pocahontas Gas.
That will be done.
Kelly, this is a pooling, so we need to cover a few other things. First of all, Pocahontas Gas is a limited liability company.
Yes.
Is it authorized to do business in the Commonwealth of Virginia? Yes. Has it filed a bond with the division?
Yes.
This is an original pooling. This unit has not been pooled before.
That's correct.
And what rules are we seeking to pool it under?
Oakwood 2.
Okay. What did you do to advise people that have interest or claims in this unit that we were going to have a meeting today to discuss pooling?
We mailed a copy of the application to each owner by certified mail with return receipt requested, as well as providing a notice in publication in the Bluefield Daily Telegraph.
And have you provided your certificates with regard to mailing and proof of publication to the division?
Yes.
And if you could take a moment and tell us what dates the mailing and the publication occurred on.
The mailing took place April 24th, 2024, and publication April 26th, 2024.
Looking at your application, the second page of it, which is page 2 of the PDF, you've got an estimate of allowable costs.
Yes.
Which is a pretty low number compared to what we often see, correct?
Yes, it is.
And why is that?
Because this is a VVH conversion as opposed to new drilling.
And there is a provision, multiple provisions in the code and the regulations that allow the conversion of vertical ventilation holes to cobalt methane wells. You can actually get a cobalt methane permit if you comply with the regulations, correct?
Yes.
And that's what we're doing here.
Yes.
Has that permit been issued yet?
Not that I checked yesterday and I didn't find a permit number that had been issued yet.
Okay, fair enough. And at page number 5, you've got a plat, correct?
Yes.
And on that plat, you've shown the tracks within this unit,
Yes.
and it's an 80-acre Oakwood unit.
Yes, it is.
Come down to page 8. You have an exhibit B, which you're required to submit, and that's a list of all the owners in the unit.
Yes.
Okay. Then it's like at page 20, you've got the exhibit B3.
That's correct.
And that's a list of the folks that you're seeking to pool by this application.
Yes.
And do you want to add any people to exhibit B3 as additional folks to be pooled?
No.
How about, do you want to dismiss any?
No.
Okay. And if you look at Exhibit B3, the far right-hand column, what is that?
This BVH hole was originally drilled in a panel mined as 7 South. So that percentage represents the allocated portion of 7 South that unit AA15 contributes.
Okay, so it's essentially a sealed panel, and these are the division of interest for the folks you're pooling.
Yes.
If we come down to the end of B3, which is page 23, how many unleased acres do we have in the 80-acre unit that are in question, and what's the percentage of the unit?
24.0650 acres, which is 30.0813% of the unit.
And to folks that you have been able to lease, what are the lease terms that you've offered?
The lease terms that are offered are $5 per acre per year with a 5-year paid up term and 12.5% royalty.
And would you recommend those terms to the board for folks who do not enter into another agreement and are deemed to have been leased?
Yes.
Okay. Then at page 24, what have we got there?
That is the estimated cost for conversion of the VVH.
And at the next page, page 25, what do we have there?
That is a map of the unit that reflects mining that has taken place.
Okay, so it's the AA15 unit with the long wall panels shown that that intersected underground.
Yes, and it also reflects the location of AA15-262, which is the hole being converted.
Then we've got your, which we saw previously today, we saw an Exhibit M, page 26, which is where you allocate costs.
Yes.
In the bottom line of this, strike that. You previously indicated how you did that calculation, correct?
Yes.
And here, what's the bottom line for AA15?
$82,110.59.
We again have a proposed order. Starts
Yes.
at page 27.
Yes.
Well, if I asked you this or not, but in the proposed order at page 14, you indicate that escrow is not required for this unit.
That's correct. There's no escrow required.
You'll be able, if it's approved, you're going to be able to pay everybody.
Yes.
Your opinion that the operations that we've discussed and that are disclosed in the application and exhibits are a reasonable way to recover coal bed methane from the sealed panel to protect the corrosive rights of all parties?
Yes.
And is it your opinion that between the leases and acquisitions that the operator has been able to achieve and force pooling the folks listed in Exhibit B3, the rights of everybody will be protected to revenue or royalty on revenue produced?
Yes.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions from the board?
Just one question on your AFE on page 24. You have all the cost allocated to valves and fittings of $179,000. But you have a 4,800 foot of pipeline that you're going to be installing. should there be some more detail and other things associated with this VVH conversion in the dollar breakdown, such as tank batteries, wellhead equipment, pipeline, rod stuffing? Should it all be detailed a little more than just putting it all into one category?
It was evaluated by the individuals responsible for, completing the conversion, and it sounds like that equipment is already in place.
So they don't know what they spent on any of those individual line items at this point. They just know the total.
Yes. With an estimate of the total.
Well, if it's in place, they should know exactly how much they spent.
Well, the problem is this is a VVH that was drilled a long time ago, and recovering the records, I'm suspecting is a problem. Yeah, like
Well,
it
they
said,
collecting gas. They don't collect gas out of VVHs, correct? They just vetted those. They didn't have pipelines associated with those.
That's correct.
So you would have a different wellhead set up and everything for a VVH versus I'm assuming it's gonna be a gob well at this point, right? Is that what we classified as? Or just a VVH
Yes.
conversion? It'll collect gob gas in the mining area.
Yes.
Is it possible to revise that somewhat to reflect the line items that are requested on the AFE?
Yes, I
Estimate.
can request for that to be revised. Yes.
Thank you.
just out of curiosity, I don't see a pipeline distance on the AFE. Maybe I'm missing something here. I just see valves and fittings.
In the heading under estimated total pipeline, 4,800 feet. It's like the fourth line down.
Okay, Kelly, is the pipeline, to your knowledge, included in valves and fittings?
To my knowledge, yes.
Okay, so we need to get a breakdown of that.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Anything further, Mr. Schwartz?
No.
Board acts on the motion.
Yeah, we had a committee
Go ahead.
person, a community person asked a question. Was that the well that she was asking about?
I think it's the next one.
The next one.
So next.
Motion to approve. Pending no corrected
Have a
AFE.
motion and a second
And,
with the correction
okay,
on AFE.
yes, second,
Ms. Gilmer, will you poll the board, please?
Mr. Harris,
yes.
Mr. Ratliff,
Yes.
Mr. Jansen,
Yes.
and Mr. Cochran.
Yes.
You have approval, Mr. Schwartz.
Thank you.
Next is item number 8 as a petition from Pocahontas Gas to create a pool of co-bed methane unit VS 18, docket numbers VGOB 23-1121-4277. All parties interested, please come forward.
Mark Schwartz, Kelly Berry, and Kevin Elkins.
Cheryl
need-
Keene Tucker.
We need to swear in
Mr. Elkins.
Mr. Elkins.
Yes.
Mr. Elkins, do you swear and affirm that your testimony is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
I'd like to start with Kelly Berry, Mr. Chairman.
May I be included in this petition to speak as well? You may need to swear me in.
That's Ms. King. I don't think she has.
I don't think you have to be sworn in. You're just going to comment after the petition.
Okay, that, if I may, I would like to make sure that I'm heard. Thank you.
I would like the name so that we know.
My name is Cheryl Keene Tucker.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then Ms. Wright, this is the one.
Wade,
Okay, you may proceed, Mr. Schwartz.
Thank you, sir. Kelly, would you state your name for us again?
Kelly Berry.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to incorporate Kelly's prior testimony with regard to her employment and duties, and also her testimony with regard to the applicant being an LLC admitted in the Commonwealth with a bond.
We can do that, Mr. Schwartz.
Thank you, sir. Kelly, we've been before the board before with a vent shaft unit, correct?
Yes.
I think it was roughly 2 years ago.
We're approaching 3 years ago now.
Okay. And that unit was what?
Vent shaft 16.
Okay, there's some similarities between that application and this one, and there's some differences, right?
Yes.
And we'll be touching on that as we proceed. This, just in general, let me go back to the first page here. This is an application actually that you apparently got a number for this last year because it's a 23 number.
Yes.
What mine does vent shaft 18 serve?
Buchanan #1 mine.
Okay. What did you do to notify people that we were going to be having a hearing today?
Mailed a copy to all known owners by return receipt requested certified mail, and we also published in the Bluefield Daily Telegraph a notice.
Have you furnished your proof of publication and your certificates of service to the division?
Yes.
And do you want to strike that? And what dates or date did you mail, and what date or dates did you publish?
May 29th, 2024 on both counts.
Okay. And strike that. And we're here for two reasons. One, we're here to create a unit involving the capture of, or the processing of vent shaft mine air, and then to pool folks within that unit to the extent they are unleased. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And we don't currently in Virginia have field rules that apply to vent shaft production. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And there has been a permit issued with regard to this project?
I'm not sure if the permit has been issued yet.
Okay, but the permit contemplates the installation of surface facilities. Is that correct?
Yes.
And it does not contemplate the drilling of a well.
No, and let me back up and say, yes, the permit has been issued. It is 13993.
Okay. And have you provided, and we'll get to that later, an exhibit C with regard to the costs of the surface facility that was permitted?
Yes.
And the cost information that we have comes from where?
That is provided by the third party, which we have a contract with.
And who's that third party?
Nextera.
Exhibit C has the data that we've received from them.
That's correct.
There's a pretty significant number with regard to surface development.
Yes, it is.
Why is that?
The cost of the facilities to process the gas from the vent shaft.
And were we faced with some pretty difficult terrain here as well?
Yes.
Okay. Let's go. Now, if we go to page 2 of the application, what is the acreage in the proposed unit?
5,019.57 acres.
Like, I think we're gonna need an escrow account for this unit, is that correct?
Yes, there are 2 tracks which need to be placed into escrow due to a title conflict and a cloud on title.
Have you provided an exhibit E in that regard?
Yes, and that is for tracks 36C and 37A.
And other than that, we're gonna be able to pay everybody.
Yes,
Who was requested to be the operator?
Pocahontas Gas LLC.
And in this application, we have actually noticed all of our lessors, correct?
Yes,
And that is because of the size of the unit we propose to create.
yes,
Presumably, most of the leases didn't contemplate a unit this size without notice.
that's correct.
So we've noticed our lessors with regard to creating the unit, but we're not seeking to force pool them. We're seeking to voluntarily pool them.
Yes,
So Exhibit B lists all the owners. Yes?
it does.
Okay, and then we've got an Exhibit D where you list just the lessors.
Yes, the owners who are being voluntarily pooled.
Look at page 9. It's a plat that shows the unit that you're proposing to create and and a map of the tracks.
Yes,
And what's the red hash mark area sort of in this bottom center?
that is an area where no mining will take place.
And then we've got a little hook in the southeast corner, and is that the access to vent shaft 18?
Yes, it is.
Okay, the next page, page number 10, what does that show?
The boundary of the vent shaft collection area.
In relation to, are those Oakwood units?
Yes, they are.
Okay, so you can identify from this exhibit the units that are Oakwood units, 80-acre units that are in whole or in part within the proposed vent shaft unit.
Yes,
And then to indicate how the unit was shaped, we've got an exhibit at page number 11.
yes.
And what does that show in addition to what we've been looking at already?
That depicts mining which has taken place as well as proposed panels to be mined.
Okay, and it shows the first panel in the proposed unit as being partially mined.
Yes,
And it shows entries to begin to isolate the second panel.
yes.
I'm going to get into this more with Kevin Elkins in terms of the sizing of the unit and the seals and so forth, but one of the differences between this proposed unit and vent shaft 16 is that we're going to need to do some adjusting of royalties paid throughout the course of the mining. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And why is that?
That is because in this area, each panel will be sealed on a panel by panel basis as opposed to sealing a larger mined area.
Kevin Elkins is going to tell us about the MSHA requirements and ventilation requirements that force us to do that, right?
Yes.
And when we come back to strike that, is the intention though as we seal the individual panels as mining progresses, is the intention to come to the board and create a longwall panel unit for each panel,
Yes.
and to modify this order to subtract that acreage from the payments out of vent shaft 18.
Yes.
The next page is page number 12, and that's a requirement of the regulations that we show a meets and bounds description of the boundary, right?
Yes.
We go to page page 26. That's the exhibit B that lists everybody.
Yes.
B3 starts at page 53.
Yes.
And that exhibit lists all of the folks that we are seeking to pool.
Yes, it does.
Okay. Do you want to add any people to that list today?
No.
Do you want to dismiss any people from exhibit B3?
No.
Go to the end of B3, which is, I think, page 69. We've got a indication of out of the 5,000, roughly 5,000 acres. How many acres do we need to force pool?
175.17 acres.
And the percentage of the unit we're proposing to create of those unleased acres is what?
3.4898% of the unit.
And then the next page, exhibit number 70, is that the information that you have received from NextEra, who built the site and installed the facility?
Yes.
In anticipating questions, do you have any backup from NextEra for these numbers other than what you've displayed in exhibit C?
We do not.
Okay. It's your contractor and that's what they gave you in response to a request for their costs.
Yes.
Okay. The next page, also required by the regulations, is another depiction of the unit we're proposing to create. But what's shown on this exhibit, which is page, I guess 71 probably.
Mm-mm.
I think in my PDF it's 75.
Okay.
It's a map depicting the entire unit, the proposed mining and the existing wells that are
Right.
located within that area.
Okay. May have a slight difference here, but that's in my PDF. It's 72 or 71, and you've got 75. So presumably the board
Yes.
has one or the other of those. Okay. And then exhibit D, which I have at page 72, is what?
Exhibit D is a list of all the leased owners who will be voluntarily pooled.
Through here. At I'll take that back. If we look at exhibit F, which is page 79,
Exhibit F reflects all of the underlying units and their previous pooling and or disbursement orders that have taken place.
That are either completely or partially in the proposed unit.
Yes,
And to the extent that any of those wells, subject to the orders identified in Exhibit F, continue to produce, they're going to be allocated in accordance with the prior orders.
that's correct.
Now, if we come to the next page, exhibit, oh, actually, let me skip to page 83. Page 83, we've got the proposed order again.
Yes,
That's the final piece of the application that you've submitted. Have we been paying royalties on vent shaft 16?
yes, we have.
And how often do we pay royalties?
Royalty is paid on a monthly basis.
And how often are we able to report volumes to the division?
On a monthly basis.
Is that what you propose to do here with regard to vent shaft 18?
Yes.
And with regard to the piece of, and we'll talk more about this with Kevin, but with regard to the piece of the mine air that's coming out of vent shaft 18, are we selling that?
We are
According
selling
to
the
a-
gas.
Okay.
Yes,
On an MMBTU basis?
that's correct.
And is that what we've been doing in vent shaft 16 as well?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And we'll have those numbers, as you previously indicated, on at least a monthly basis.
Yes.
See if there's anything else here. I guess the last thing is the ability to process methane in mine air, vented mine air. A good way to monetize the methane content of that air and pay it to the owners.
Yes.
And as a consequence, is this just another example of a way to protect correlative rights?
Yes.
With the additional benefit of minimizing or lessening the venting of methane into the atmosphere.
Yes.
I think that's all I have of Kelly.
You have questions for Mr. Elkins?
Elkins, yes.
We need to swear him in. Or
I think we did.
We did? Okay.
I
You
think
may,
I do.
any questions from Kelly before we move on?
Sure, yeah.
You may proceed, Mr. Swartz.
Thank you. Kevin, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Could you state your name for us, please?
Kevin Elkins.
Could you summarize your education for us?
I have a bachelor degree in mining engineering from Virginia Tech, and I have an MBA from King University and a Master of Science in Environmental Engineering from Marshall University Graduate College.
Are you employed at the present time?
Yes.
Who do you work for?
Appalachian Technical Services.
And what kind of company is that?
It's a engineering, architecture, and ecology company that does work in the Central Appalachia area.
Is it basically a consulting firm?
Yes.
Okay. How long have you worked for them?
Since August 1 of 23.
And who did you work for before August 1st of 2023?
Coronado Global Resources at Buchanan No. 1 Mine.
Okay. And your responsibilities there were in general what?
Took care of the gas portion of the mine as far as working with CNX to develop gob wells, and also took care of the development of the shafts.
did you have responsibility for vent shaft 18?
Yes, I did.
And are you able to tell us what the cost within a minimal differential, just rounding, what the cost of vent shaft 18 was?
It was in the upper 20 million range.
Okay.
Upper 20s.
And did you, what was your involvement with the construction of vent shaft 18?
I supervised the contractor that sunk the shaft.
Okay. And let's go to page. Are you able, Kevin, to access the PDF of this application? Or should I?
I don't have the full application. I have just pages from the application.
Okay, let me direct your attention then to, assume you have, let me get back in my documents here. Okay. I assume that you have a map that shows the boundaries of the proposed 5,000 acre unit, the Oakwood units that are involved, and the mining that has occurred and that is proposed. Do you have that map in front of you?
Yes, I do.
Okay. How did you determine the boundaries of the vent shaft 18 proposed unit?
Based on their ventilation modeling, this is the area that we expect vent shaft 18 to be able to provide return air or act as a bleeder fan.
And does it reflect where seals or communication is restricted to adjoining areas?
Well, in this area, it's a little bit different from the other mining procedures.
Okay.
Because to be able to mine the wider panels in this particular area of the mine, Coronado had to obtain MSHA approval to be able to do that. So each of the longwall panels have a head gate and tailgate and a barrier to separate panels from one another. This will provide stability for the mining operation, and each panel can then be sealed. So the most area that Coronado can leave open is 2 panels. So before they start a third panel, the first panel in the sequence would have to be sealed.
And at the time that those seals are put in place, let's just stay with completing mining in the first panel and before you can start mining in the third panel. Do the boundaries that you have put on the map or the boundaries of the proposed unit, do those reflect your expectation of where the seals will be?
Yes.
And why? What agency is requiring this difference between ventilating and producing from vent shaft 16 and vent shaft 18? Who's raising the problem?
Well, to be able to mine the wider panels in the south, which is the vent shaft 18 area, MSHA had to approve the plan to be able to seal the panels progressively seal the panels as the panels are mined.
Okay, so that procedure that we're talking about is in response to an MSHA requirement.
Yes.
And once for example, let's stay with the first panel. Once that panel is sealed, obviously it will not be producing vent shaft gas anymore.
Correct.
And we'll have to extract that from the acreage. That's not your problem, but that's something that Kelly will have to oversee.
That's correct.
And let me stay with that. Now, do you have a map of the surface facility, a plat of the surface facility available to you?
Yes.
And I think it wasn't in the original package, Mr. Chairman, but a plat was submitted to the division. Do you guys have that so you can refer to it? Of the surface facility?
Yes.
Okay. Kevin, with regard to that plat, there's an indication of the location of vent shaft 18. Do you see that?
Yes.
And then there's a really dark sort of a line, I guess, a wide line from the vent shaft to what appears to be a facility in the northern central position on the plat.
Correct.
And-
Yeah,
and
this,
what it-
this line represents the ductwork that will carry the ventilation air methane from the shaft return compartment up to the unit that will process the VAM air.
Does the plat show actually two processing units?
It does. The current plan is to install one unit. And if there's enough ventilation air methane to be processed, then a second unit will be installed later.
Is the unit that's installed and that's gonna, gonna be the initial unit, is that the one toward the south east of the two units?
I believe it's the northwest unit.
Okay.
I believe.
Okay. But in any event, it's only gonna be one unit at the present time.
Yes.
Okay. Can you strike that, with regard to the methane content of the air that comes out of the mine that's being exhausted with just general mine air, can you tell us whether or not you measure that content on a regular basis, meaning the mining company?
Yes, that content is continuously measured.
By the mine operator?
Yes.
Okay, and do you have fan readings of CH4 for vent shaft 18?
Yes, I do.
And what is the percentage of methane in the mine air that you're measuring?
The last measurement I have was on May the 8th of 24, and the methane concentration was 0.5%.
And just for comparison purposes, do you have a measurement in vent shaft 16 for the same day?
Yes.
And what was that?
That measurement is 0.45%.
So it's less than 1%.
Yes.
All right, now going back to the facility at the surface, what does that facility do?
Well, that facility will pool a portion of the mine exhaust air from the vent shaft evase to the unit. It will then push the VAM air through the unit, and it's.
When you say VAM air, is that vine? What is that abbreviation?
Ventilation air methane.
Okay, so it'll push that
through the unit, and initially this unit is heated with LP gas to get to temperature, and once it has maintained the temperature it needs to process the ventilation air methane, it is a self-sustaining reaction. So the LP gas is turned off, and the ventilation air methane maintains the heat as the methane is being destroyed.
and then what comes, so methane and, air, mine air goes in containing some methane, and then what comes out the other end?
A residual amount of methane that was not destroyed, CO2 and water vapor.
And what's the measurement or measurements that are being made at the facility?
Well, the intake air is measured, and the exhaust air is measured. That's how the credit is determined, and that's how the process generates funds is through the methane abatement program through California.
So to put some clarity on this, does the amount of methane, you said on May 8th it was 0.5, okay? Is the amount of how often is the amount of methane in the air going into the unit measured?
I believe it's a continual measurement.
Okay, and how about the amount of methane exiting the process? How often is that measured?
That's a continual process as well.
So the operator is able to subtract what's going out from what's coming in to calculate the amount that's been destroyed.
Correct.
And that then is converted to a volume and can be converted to a MMBTU price.
Yes.
Is there an adjustment made for CO2?
Yes.
And is that measured at least on, well, in and out or just on exit?
I believe that is measured on the exit.
Okay. Going back to page number 11 for a moment, and that's the map that has the units, the boundary of this 5,000 acre unit and the mining shown on it, Kevin.
Yes.
Once and let's stay with the first panel again. Once that first panel is isolated and sealed so that you can proceed to mine the third panel, is there any reason why that first panel cannot produce sealed GOG gas?
Other than this estimate.
No, sir.
Okay. I think that's all I have of Mr. Elkins at this point, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, you have anything else?
That's all I have at this time.
I'm gonna let Miss King, Cheryl King.
Yes. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Go. What's your question?
Well, my name is Cheryl Keene Tucker. I am a licensed CPA in the state of Virginia actively, and I'm also got my MBA in business administration from Virginia Tech. I'm also a landowner. I have a concern about how the accounting is going to be handled so it will protect the rights of the landowners and the gas company as well. For example, we own portions of this proposed pooling for V18, and we have ownership in CC 34, CC 35, and CC 36. We have still there's 4 of those units that never have had any escrow for us, and that would be CC 34, DD 34, CC 35, and DD 35. DD 36 and CC 36 do have escrow. The property was, our property was purchased and there was a defective title back in 2001. We have notified CNX Pocahontas Gas, got in touch with us as quickly as possible in 2012, right before the state Supreme Court they wanted to buy the land so that they would make sure that they would have the property rights. We have been since then trying to reach an agreement of some sort. Other people under the G.W. McLaughlin heirs have not received yet one penny. I have received some payments since 2000 and for 2020 till now. Again, the calculations of this blank amounts just overlying, the CNX and Pocahontas Gas have not been able to give me exactly how the percentages of the land were derived. So I'm going back and actually on the exhibits B and, for example, in exhibit D, which those are the leased owner claimants voluntary pooling, and then they have a list of the ones that are not, that have clouds over the lease. Within that, our name actually should be on there. We have not, due to the fact that there has been certainly going through the Virginia Board of Oil and Gas, there's been significant and sufficient time to reflect with many surveys that have gone on with the information to get this more accurate. And I just am concerned about now that we're pooling all of these 18, I think there's 18 different units into one, how I'm just concerned about the accounting method.
Mr. Schwartz, you want to respond?
Yes, if you look at the tract identification numbers or information starting at page 13, for each tract, they're identified in the mapping that's provided here. Each tract has a statement to 2 decimal places of the acreage of that tract, which is within the proposed unit. So if the tract is larger, for example, taking tract 1A, if the tract 1A is a larger tract than 15.17 acres, there's part of that tract that's not in the unit, and the part of the tract that is in the unit is reported as 15.17 acres. And that tract then is assigned a percentage, the percentage that it represents of the 5,000 acres. So you can, that's the starting point. Then you go to the exhibit B3 or any exhibit that lists the individual owners. And that math just follows through. I mean, that's how the acreage and the percentages are calculated.
And that, go ahead.
No, I mean, it's that simple.
Well, it is, but going back to the first public landowner that had talked today, I actually I have been told consistently by CNX and Pocahontas Gas that there is no way for us to see where our property falls in each of the units. However, I actually do have a map that may or may not have been accidentally given to me by Mary Beth McLaughlin that actually shows the individual tracts, so you could actually manipulate it to get into what the percentage in the unit is. However, with the changes in certain other items that I've been told that the accounting department, it would be too difficult to provide us with any information about how you come up with that percentage of interest in the unit.
Well, I guess
that's a concern.
Well, I'm going to comment on one thing. There is no way that CNX has told you or the board they can't calculate the acreage of the tracts that are within the units that we pool. I mean, if you look at page number 9, the tracts are mapped on page number 9. They're identified.
Yes, but you don't see
The tract, ma'am, I let you talk. The tract IDs or information is given. the acreages are given, and the percentages are given. So we have mapped it. We are presenting evidence to the board that we have calculated the interest. And then we have done title and we've calculated your interest and we've done the math. I mean, that's the answer to your
I
question.
love that. Yes, and you should absolutely. And I agree 100% with what you said. So you certainly should be able to take a county or area GIS map location, which, as the guy from Dickinson County had said earlier, provides who owns which properties. And then within that, you should be able to overlay these individual units.
No, it's not should be able, we have done that.
Well, then I again, still would like to be provided with that, or I think it should be publicly available. It is not on GIS records. I just came off of that website, and it just shows the well locations and the unit numbers.
It's publicly available. We just filed it with the board and we're looking at it. You're looking
Okay,
at our
I'm looking
map.
at it, but I don't see where on the map that you have provided, the one that shows the individual tracts, I don't see the property that I own within that. I don't see anybody on this list property that they own within that. It's
Well,
just
if you're not on the-
If you navigate through the Exhibit B and find your name is related to the tract number that is represented on the tract identifications. And that tract number, if you locate that tract number on the map, that is the location of your property.
Okay,
Right.
and the tract number on the map, which is here, that is in the actual, can you tell me what page that is?
Haven't you looked? Do you know if you're in here?
Looking back again. I'm sorry, I'm looking here at page number 10, for example.
Page number
And
9 is
again,
the map that has the tract numbers on it.
Okay, I see no tract numbers. I don't see my personal property that we own that's commingled, that's going into the 5,000 acres. I don't see my property line on there. I see a large tract, and it's combining lots of your other units, which again, we do not have the information of where our property lies within the units. And all I'm asking is to take the GIS of who's on public record, just like any of the counties for revenue purposes would want, and then take your tracts and lay over top of them. That way it's verifiable to see if we agree or if there's some conflict in the percentage of ownership.
If you want to do something like that, you need to do it yourself.
See, that's exactly the point. I do have a map that you can do that, and it is available. And anyways, that can be for another day. But so you're basically you're not helping the owner know what part of their property is included in each unit, so it's clouding that information. And we are accepting it because you presented it to the board. And for example, I know for only because we were forced pulled, and there's defects in title, and we haven't been paid from 2001 until 2022. And my other relatives that are in this are not even on the list under the clouds of claimants. They have not been paid. I looked at the ones that don't have escrows on those units. I'm just confused.
Is your name?
There's clarification that can be had.
Is your name in Exhibit B3? Is your name in Exhibit B3?
Yes.
Okay, tell us what page.
I'm going through it right now. Okay, I am. I'm scrolling through the document. Here, I'm on page 36.
Okay. Tract,
Actually
which
going on to
which tract? Which tract?
37.
Which tract on 36?
We're on several of them, but this one I'm particularly looking right now. It's a 47.9 acre tract number 23. This one little portion, 7.12 acres. And we have, again, calculating the interest. I think Pocahontas Gas had originally thought they owned all of it, and there was a defect in title, and we actually do own part of that. Going again, we've actually, since in 2022, the heirs purchased out Shelby Finney 100%, and that's not reflected on here either. And our attorney we did send the information to Pocahontas Gas.
Okay,
So I guess I'm basically what I'm saying. I don't feel comfortable with your calculations for the landowners.
Okay, I don't see your name under tract 23 at page 36 or 37.
If you go to the very top of page number 37, my name is Cheryl Keene Tucker. When we were going through this before, my mother was still alive, and you argued that I had no right to talk about this, even though I have the power of attorney. Now it is in my name, and I can talk about it.
Okay, so you're at B4 on page 37, right? For example.
For example, and there's several other.
Okay, and that indicates.
And this is just from
Right,
sorry.
okay, let's just stay with this. And that indicates that in that 7.12 acre tract, you have a 0.032 acre interest, which is 1/224th of 7.1 acres, and there's a percentage reported. So that is our calculation of your interest in that particular tract. So you work through. I mean, that's where we get to based on the tract identifications, the acreages and percentages of the tract identifications, and the title with regard to this particular tract. That's how we get our number.
Okay, and I don't see that particular 7 point, excuse me here. For example, hold on, there we go. The 7, let's see, tract number, I've lost my page. But on the maps that are reflected, again, I don't see, and like you said, it's up to me to go in and overlay your units and make sure it's correct over the county or whatever property lines, so that I could verify that we have the correct percentages. Because we really own.
Well, I'm just telling you.
47.7 acres, we own 53 acres, and we own 37 acres. Now, they're all broken down into some parts. As you said, tract number, and they go across counties. We have property in 3 different counties. And so we may even have one of your units that's in 2 counties. And it's not clear.
Tract number 23 is listed in the tract IDs at page number 16 as 7.12 acres. It gives a percentage, and the map that precedes the tract IDs shows those tracts. So you're telling us that it doesn't appear, it's there.
Okay, I do not see my property lines. Where is that? I'm looking at page 11. I do not see, I just see tract CC 34, CC 35, and CC 36. I don't see where the property lines are for what part we own, what part you own.
The property lines are depicted on PDF page 9.
Correct.
Okay, I'm looking. PDF page 9. Okay. And how do we find out where our units are, like within that stretch of land, and then how the percentages? Because I see something that's You know, there's an abstract that doesn't say what the acreage is in each of those little boxes with the lines. So I don't know if that's 1 acre or 1.2 acres or 30 acres.
I guess I have gone through the documents that cause us to get to the number that we've got, and I'm just repeating myself at this point. I think we
Yes,
have
you are,
provided.
and
Ma'am,
it is.
I don't interrupt you. If you would let me finish, thank you.
I was just agreeing with
I
you.
can't do anything beyond what I have done to explain the math here. I have traced the math from, our mapping to a number, and, I just keep telling you over and over the same information. I'm done answering the how we came up with our numbers question.
Well, again, there is not a direct correlation between the map that is on page number 9 and the actual individual units that are in each of those little boxes or lines, property lines, to see who is within what. I'm asking for is you told me it would be my responsibility to find where that overlaid. That's something that your company would not let us know. Why not?
We're not going to teach you property 101. I've explained to you how we measure your tract and how we've done the math. If you don't like that, you should show up at a hearing. You should show up at a hearing with maps and competing evidence as opposed to opinions that we haven't done it right.
Oh, well, you know what, that we're on record, and I have you on record as well in 2020 and some others going back. So I agree it's futile, but I did want to bring this up before into the public, before the board, and also agreeing with the person that first spoke. I believe her name was Judy. But I think it's as simple as what we just said, and for some reason you have a problem showing that to us, and that's where I will end it. Thank you.
Thank you. And the staff. Is there any way the staff could help her identify those property lines?
Well, if you look at the map tracks, if you blow it up, you can see the track.
I see that, but she's not.
What shows you.
Well, the track numbers are all there.
Yeah. So if you go on the track number, that's the track with the owners in that tract.
Yeah, they're there. You just have to blow it up to read the number.
Another thing that might be helpful, although I really don't want to take the lid off the jar too much, but at page 82, we've overlaid the unit and show some additional topographic detail for what that's worth.
Okay.
Again, it is for, we see the overall idea, but again, if a public landowner cannot see where their property lines, again, I might have some in CC 34 and the property goes into CC 35 and to 36, and you have percentages. But if I don't know what that area is, I see it is math. It totally agrees. It is math, and it's simple math if we have all the information.
Okay, we appreciate you. Thank you. We have a question back here. You ladies have a question?
I think I was wondering,
Will you state your name for the record, please?
Rita Wade,
Go ahead.
are they gonna have to drill a well? And I'm wondering where I'm on my property, is it, I'm gonna be affected in?
You know what?
No, there will not be a well drilled on your property
Oh, okay.
for this
Okay.
unit, no.
Oh,
Okay.
That's what I was wondering.
All right. Any other questions?
I'm sorry, I do have another question. It's not about what we were speaking about just previously, but we have had, there were just recently some permits. You are drilling more wells on CC 35. I think there's a request for CC 35C, D, E, and G. It was
We're on
mailed
this.
out on May 23rd, 24. Is that it's in CC 35, which is part of this pooling into V18. But has that already been approved?
What was the well number?
The well numbers are CC 35C, CC 35D, CC 35E, and CC 35G. And it says the permit application was on, and I got the letter on May, or it was signed on May 23rd, 2024.
If you look at page 71, there's a map that shows CC 35 and it shows one well, possibly two in CC 35.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, I apologize. What page was that map again?
71.
Okay.
PDF 75.
I-71 is still
Okay.
conflicting.
These wells do not have final approval? So, okay. All right, any questions from the board?
Just got one. Going into the process, you said that it was 0.5 methane, correct? When it comes out of the process, do you know what percentage that is, or can you give us that?
Kevin?
I do not know the percentage. It is very low. I can tell you that.
Was it less than 0.1, Kevin?
I'm confident it's less than 0.1.
Give you an order of magnitude.
And I could probably state this: the range of the unit is about 0.3 up to 1.2%, with an ideal percentage around 0.9% for the unit to operate.
Anything else? We don't have an AFE to detail and break this out, other than the estimate from, I can't read my writing. The 12 million.
NextEra, yeah.
There. Do we have an AFE to break this out any closer?
Kelly and I have been round and round about that, and this is all we can get from them.
Okay. Does,
all I'm aware is that costs are also addressed as a part of a confidentiality agreement that we have with them.
okay. Does this allow for participation?
Yes.
Any other questions? Do you have anything further, Mr. Schwartz?
I do not.
Board acts on a motion. We have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Ms. Gilmore, will you please hold the board?
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Ratliff,
Yes.
Jansen,
Yes.
Mr. Cochran.
Yes.
That is approved, Mr. Schwartz.
Thank you.
Thank you for your patience and participation. Next on the agenda, the board will receive an update from the division and activities from the staff.
Well, things we have Rita Surratt, Miss Mary Quillen, who terms expire at the end of this month, and we have a couple of nominees for the governor's office for replacement, waiting to see how that comes out.
Very good.
Is a representative from the Attorney General office still on the phone? Jackson?
Yes, sir. I'm still here.
Do we have any update on the discussion we had several months back concerning the update to the regulations regarding escrow?
I can answer that. Yes, it's in the process with all the regulations through the chamber, came out of General Assembly this year. It is included in that. So there's a whole batch that our agency is doing. So it's a part of that whole group of changes.
So there's already been it's already been written, and
Already been written. So it's just a matter of
has it gone through the public comment period or any of that?
not get, that's what they're getting ready to do. I think this week is final round before it goes public.
Okay, can that be circulated to the board so we can see that? Thank you.
And I have one more request here that I received from Intervest Operating. It goes back to pooling that was done back in 2017 for docket 4124. That it was pooled, however, the well was never drilled and the permit expired. And $2.69 is in the escrow account. And Intervest had requested, since that well was never drilled, that money be sent back to them and close the escrow account for docket 4124, and it's for unit 156.
We have a motion to close that unit.
How do we, have we handled those in the past? Has the board had to approve those type of things or for undrilled wells? Because I think there's several other undrilled wells on the list now, right? Do we need to approve all those at some point to return the funds?
We can work through them, yes. This is one that we're working through right now, but we can, or sometimes Mr. Scrupa will approve through Mr. Ratliff.
But you do need a motion.
We need a motion to.
Motion to approve.
Second. Thank you. We have a motion and a second.
You were asking.
I was asking.
Are you?
Yeah, Ms. Gill, call the board.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff,
Yes.
Mr. Jansen,
Yes.
and Mr. Cochran.
Yes.
Thank you. Anything else? Nothing else? We need to review the minutes from the February meeting. Has everyone had a chance to look at those? Those was emailed out. If not,
motion to approve.
Motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Very good. All those in favor? We'll do a voice vote.
Yeah.
Aye. Thank you. Good. Minutes are approved. Anything further?
Do we need to act on the July meeting with one item, or we're going to go ahead and hold the meeting? We have two things, I guess. That we fix.
If you want to handle it, you can let us know.
Everybody be here?
July is when?
Third Tuesday.
July 16th.
Yeah, I should be.
Good. We'll have that meeting.
New members, but they have.
That initiate, we got to do that initiation that day. I read that. Anything for the good of the order? Hearing none, we will adjourn at 12:46. Thank you all.